Will Hooley, welcome to the Sport Profile.
Oh, Dylan. Straight in. I love it. No, great to be here, man. I know we've had a little bit of back and forth and trying to get me on. That's probably my fault, not yours. But it's so good to be with you here on the Sport Profile. Love what you do, and
Thank you.
Yeah, but sorry if I've come a little bit underdressed with the t-shirt. I did nearly try and put this pin on, showing that I am from.
At least you didn't
Major League
poke
Rugby.
yourself.
Yeah, well, I also created a hole in this t-shirt, and I don't think I can expense it back to Major League Rugby if I, So here I am.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know how many holes I've poked in shirts?
Too many
over the course. Yeah, I mean, it's like it happens. You try to put something on, and then it doesn't stay.
Well, it's also with the old the what do you even call these sort of pins, whatever, to try and look a bit more official.
Sure.
Little do people know how it can just ruin clothing.
Oh yeah,
clothing that can be in there. This isn't expensive, but can be expensive. Anyway, man, I'm detracting. Great to be on the show. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, well, dude, let's talk some rugby. I'm super excited for the MLR season. You were going to be hosting Sunday Night Rugby, and I really just want to get your 10,000-foot perspective on this. Obviously, rugby's been a major part of your life. You're a former player. You are involved with Major League Rugby in many different capacities. But just to see the overall growth of the sport, both at a domestic level in the U.S., but also international, what does that mean to you now that rugby is really getting that national, or international even level attention that you've known it always had, but now it's really being sought after?
It's a great first question, Dylan. And you said about the 10,000-foot view. Let's go up a little bit. Let's go to 30,000 feet, because I almost feel like the element of this is, so broad, and I'm very mindful of not making a long story out of it and trying to shorten it up. But look, no, I mean, I am blessed. I'm so excited for this new season. The Major League Rugby 2026 is different. We're almost calling it MLR 2.0. And it's really? New structure. Yeah, I think because, there's new structure. There was a difficult off-season. We have these 6 teams, really strong foundation teams that are now the building block of what's to come. And those new things also are in the product. And the product being on the field, yes, but also on a media space. And it's something which I've been massively involved in various capacities, giving my opinions on things. And one of those things as well was this Sunday Night Rugby. And obviously we have a great partnership with ESPN, games that will be on ESPN Plus, but also on ESPN2 throughout the season, kicking off March 28. Get that little bit of PR in there.
Of course.
And the first Sunday Night Rugby game is actually on April 12th. And for me, I'm just so excited to, having been the player, and that was my past career, and I did that professionally, 12 years, and the accent's not going to give it away, but representing the US, finishing here in Major League Rugby, it's almost like that was always my goal as such, to achieve all of that. And now I get the ability to go after my next goal, my next career, which I moved into, which is with the media, which is with broadcasting. I had a degree whilst I was playing professional rugby in the UK. I'd had it in sports media journalism and broadcasting. So this wasn't just like I just fell into it, past player, that's kind of just trying to pick up the mic and see what happens. There is a bit of that, fake it until I make it. Isn't that the best? But no, it's
everybody has that aspect.
I know you've got to have it a little bit, haven't you?
Whether you want to admit it or not, people have it.
You have to, yeah.
I think you really do.
I think to be honest, if you're not trying to just make yourself better than what you probably actually are, then you're having a mistake, isn't it? So look, so to the 30,000-foot view again it's like this is the new MLR 2.0. These are some of the new products. It's great personally to be behind something like this, like Sunday Night Rugby, to try and bring out. It is to a degree Americanizing our sport. Remember, our sport is global, but then equally like the ability to really impact one game in the weekend, but also that reflects and reviews the previous games that's just happened. Let's see that as what Sunday Night Rugby is, and to be the host of that, to have some brilliant people that will join me on the desk in a state-of-the-art studio in New York City as well, to say that too, with also a game that's going to have all these bells and whistles, from cameras to announcers on site, we're trying to push the sport or our product to the highest standard it can be. Yes, we don't have finances like the NFL or the NBA, but at the same time, it's to be part of this sort of new vision of Major League Rugby is huge. And it's all that vision to try and push the sport towards 2031 Rugby World Cup here on US soil. So that's why sort of the 30,000-foot view is like rugby's growing. Here in the US, there's some big carrots that dangle in front of us, like a Rugby World Cup. And on a media perspective, as someone who's involved in it, we are trying to adapt. We are trying to be new. We are trying to be modern. We're trying to engage with the fans. And to be part of that, honestly, it's an honor. It's a privilege. It's a pressure as well, but one I'm looking forward to.
Of course. You mentioned something that is inspiring my next question. You mentioned how rugby is, you don't have the finances of the NFL, right? Sure, nobody does. You're not alone in that. That boat's pretty big. You might as well call it a cruise. But a lot of the American sports have that day in the week broadcast. Sunday night football, Sunday night baseball, Thursday night on Amazon Prime, Sunday night basketball on NBC now, since the NBA is on NBC. Did you view that as one of the things that was, I guess, missing from rugby, that it did not have that, I guess, tentpole show during the week to anchor, I guess, the season, a particular matchup, because all of those other sports do, and for a long time it didn't. So was that kind of the catalyst for, I guess, how this came to fruition?
You're spot on. I mean, I think that is a major part of it. I can't take all the credit. Sure. I will not be able to take all the credit at all. There's some people who have much higher powers in decision-making rather than me. I think one of the key things we understood about MLR is previously, and we had more games. We had some more teams previously, and this is what I mean by MLR 2.0. But the problem with actually having more games during a weekend is there was overlap in kickoffs. It was like, on a Saturday, there was technically like 2 games kicking off at the same time. And it was, for the audience, for the fans, for even the people who are not rugby fans, it's very hard to maybe follow what's going on when you don't even have the ability to watch everything live. I'm not saying everyone watches everything live, but you understand my point. Having a system whereby there is going to be the Saturday afternoon kickoff, the Sunday afternoon kickoff, then the Sunday night kickoff. On the whole, that is the kind of role or schedule of what's going to be laid out for MLR 2026.
Yes.
And then having a product inside the product. And it's not that actually what Major League Rugby had done before. We have done previous shows which have done very well, like throughout the week as recap shows, brilliant people involved. I also remember being involved in some of that myself. It's not downgrading what's happened before, but it's the thing which we, I think, realize as a business is for us to be commercially valuable to people to come on board, brands to come on board. It's like, it's all well and good saying we have games on ESPN or whatever it might be. But it's also like, well, what's our character? How can we show us and our platform, our product, in a way that is not just the game, the storylines, the rugby 101, the fan engagement. You need something that actually is involved with people love to be involved with the game as it happens. And to have the show sort of pre-show, halftime, and then post-show of this one game, particularly the last game of the weekend, Sunday Night Rugby, it just gives that element, I think, of engagement. And like I say, for us as a business to have our product inside the product, which can be ultimately a massively valuable asset. So I think that's obviously why NFL do their Sunday Night Football. Amazon, I mean, like, that's a great example of Thursday Night Football. I actually studied that quite hard. And they have amazing production and broadcast talent, you name it. It's insane, isn't it? I mean, they've got the budget for it. But it is like, it's the showcase around, like, you're bringing the fans along for the ride. You're bringing them with you to get in behind the scenes, understand, get a little bit closer. And it's not necessarily just watching the game. In all honesty, sometimes, and it's also the elements of what you can grab with that, with guests coming on, with social media, and it's the level of broadcast we want for a product that we want to try and meet or try and get to the position where American sports fans go, this is legit. This is proper. Not that it wasn't before, but it's
For
just going to
sure.
go up another notch.
No, that absolutely makes sense. I know you said obviously you can't take so much credit for, the idea, the execution, but what personally were some of the things that you contributed in kind of fleshing this out into what it is now? What was like a pinpoint that you said like, yo, we need this. Like this needs to be here.
I think honestly, I've worked with Major League Rugby on the broadcast side of things, maybe from more a distant, I was just an analyst. I was helping with a little bit here and there, and
Sure.
I think it was the element of trying to modernize things, and I mean that just in terms of uh, what are we trying to get out of it? One of the things is big, and one of actually my boss, who's massive on the kickoff selections. Like you've got to
Yeah.
have the ability to line these kickoffs so they're not overlapping with each other. It's good for then our international broadcasters who want to pick up games. They're not then having to like toss it up and being like, oh well, do we pick that game or
I
that
mean,
game?
it's huge. Scheduling is
Yeah,
huge.
scheduling is huge, and it's important, I think, for a whole range of the business. Um, I tell you what, I had when I was young, I actually back in the UK had a program called Match of the Day. It was on the
Mhm.
BBC when I was born and raised in the UK, and it was the Soccer Premier League. And it
Right.
was on the Sunday evening. It wasn't actually around a game, but it was a recap show that was the benefit of you've just watched the soccer, the football over that weekend. And then it hits you with a review. You want to know about some of those decisions. You want to know what's happened in the transfer market. You want
For
to
sure.
know some of those things there and then. You don't really want to wait for it until the weekend. It's kind of the building block of like, that's the conclusion of a review of the weekend. What's then looking ahead to next week? Now, you
Right.
can do that obviously midweek, but obviously having that sort of element and bringing that review analysis, it was almost like that was something which I remember pushing in terms of how can we bring that to a better light and then surround it by, having a showcase of the main game, the marquee game. If we don't have the unlimited budget to make every single game the highest spec it can be. And when I say highest spec, every game is going to be high spec, but like
For sure.
Sunday Night Rugby is going to have the ability of 8 to 9 cameras. We're going to have people on site, in there,
Yeah.
broadcast team in the booth. We're going to have this studio. Okay, let's be sensible. We are this restart button almost at MLR 2.0. I remember even I showed a document to my boss at the time. As like, let's go after one of the games at the weekend. Like it
Yeah.
was almost to a degree. It's like I want to get everyone the limelight, but like maybe this is the realistic thing to do. So it's almost that was where a little bit of like the signature of the one game we're really going to go after. That's where we can go and be like, story, get involved. This is the one you need to be watching. Everything
Right.
else is important though, because that's then going to be the picture of the season. But this is where you're going to know the most.
Right. And also like in those broadcasts, like you are going to be still talking about the broader league as
Of
a whole
course.
and those other games that you mentioned. So it's not like they're going completely by the wayside. Like they're still going to get attention, but I understand your perspective there. That main focus is that, that game of the week, that 10-pole game that you're really trying to get fans to like key in on. So like I absolutely understand the perspective. How do you think that positions the league, now that you're going to have that entity? How do you think that positions the league amongst the other niche sports leagues out there? I mean, a lot of them are popping up. Sail GP, Team Boxing League, all of these, American Cornhole League, a lot of these niche leagues that are being commercialized into team-based and ownership-based structures, right? That we just haven't seen before, right? Nobody thought there would be a sailing league, right? And now
Yeah.
there is, right?
Yeah.
With ownerships of Ryan Reynolds, Tom Brady, for crying out loud. You know, how do you view rugby as fitting into that type of niche in the next maybe 4 to 5 years, leading up to the World Cup, like you said?
Great question, Dylan. Again, it's really hard when you've got
Sure.
such an amazing sports market that is America. And
Yeah.
it's one where probably people from the outside, particularly rugby fans from other nations or other rugby entities or businesses around the world, might like look into the US and just be like, why is it not it's so easy. You've got all the biggest brands out there, and the money and the scope and the technology is like,
Sure.
yeah, it makes it also really hard. And therefore, you've got these what you want to call maybe minority sports or challenger sports, where we're
Yeah,
all kind of competing for the same kind of thing, that break on how much airtime we can get on the big platforms like
right.
an ESPN and things like that. It makes it hard, man. It makes it really hard.
Sure. I
What
mean, I
I
can
would
only imagine.
yeah, I mean, like it's so interesting that you mentioned those sports like sailing and night cornhole and like, I mean, locally around here, pickleball's massively taking
Oh,
off, you know.
literally, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, and these are great. The great thing I think with rugby is we need to play on our uniqueness of what we bring and what we offer. We're a
Sure.
contact sport in the spring. The NFL's finished, college football's finished. It's that contact sport that is slightly different. And when I see Americans come and watch rugby for the first time, dude, I'm telling you, there's not one person I've met who has turned away and gone, "Oh, that was rubbish and boring." They're like,
Sure.
give me more. So we have to put it in front of these people sometimes for them to see the vision, to see how incredible these athletes are, to see our great sport in front of their eyes. The other great thing about rugby as well is also its ability on its culture and tradition. It's a global sport. It's
It
been
is.
around for a long time. It was there before American football. Remember that. At the end of the day, it was
Yeah, it's true.
the understanding of the American public to know that it is this global game. There is this Rugby World Cup coming. I do believe that is going to hopefully draw excitement. But it comes back again to the point of like, what some great traditional values of our sport? Players are accessible. There's this feeling of, even though like it is a huge contact sport, you don't wear pads, you don't wear a helmet type thing, there is an unbelievable amount of respect. There
Sure.
is a moral compass within rugby that is maybe different, frankly, from any of the other sports. And
Really?
you go to war and then you're shaking hands at the end. There's the infamous quote from former UK Prime Minister when during World War II, Winston Churchill, who
Mhm.
described rugby and the difference between rugby and soccer at the time. He
Okay.
said, soccer is a game, well, is a gentleman's game played by hooligans. Meanwhile, rugby is a hooligan's game played by gentlemen. And that's
Wow.
the whole aspect of what is so unique about our sport. And I just seriously believe when it's about getting in front of people, and ultimately that is a challenge. But when you start building up towards the big one, which is Rugby World Cup
Right.
2031, that's where you're going to see a lot of big traction. It's about though what we do between now and then that's important to set up that success.
That's what you view as that, like, Rugby 2.0 or Major League Rugby 2.0,
Yeah.
that period between now and, the World Cup
Well,
coming
it's
in.
part of the ecosystem as well. You're like, there's
Of
so
course.
much, Major League Rugby is the professional men's competition here in the US. That's
Yeah.
the franchise model. But then there's so much other that needs to help developed. Well, it's like college rugby, high school rugby, the pathway system, the
Mhm.
education piece.
I mean, women's elite rugby is growing
Women's
too.
rugby, exactly, and it's like at the end of the day, like we've all got our part to play in this crescendo towards these big events like the World Cup.
Sure.
So, yeah, we are ultimately a big arm in that, but ultimately just one part of the puzzle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, you're a major part of that puzzle too, and I wanted to ask, a little bit about you because that's what, I love to accomplish here, getting to know the people that we see and watch every day. I was really, really intrigued by, a lot of your social media content, particularly a video you made fairly recently about cheat meals. That was
Yeah,
fun.
thanks,
Um,
man. Appreciate it. Yeah.
what do you enjoy so much about, I mean, I guess both having a cheat meal and um, just making content. You seem to really be, you know,
That's
authentically
very good.
yourself in that. And I know you said you got the
Thank you.
degree in broadcasting and sports
Yeah.
media. You're not really one of those, like you said, those former athletes who want to just try and test their luck. This is actually something you're passionate about, very clearly so. So why do you think like content creation resonates with you so much?
Well, Firstly, thank you. Very kind of you to even say. I'm sure I might be on some people's Instagram feeds and be like, "Oh, not him again." But no, it was actually, to be honest. So first and foremost, bit of a story about that
Sure.
is I would always describe myself, and still do, more of a broadcaster, host, and producer.
Okay.
Not necessarily as an influencer. I still don't say
Right.
myself an influencer, but I've got more as a
Me
content.
neither.
No. But like more as a content creator, yes. And I did so much after my playing of doing it for other channels, building a podcast through the Rugby Network and
Right.
doing stuff for Major League Rugby, and then also using other people and doing all those pieces. And then it was kind of like the penny drop for me in like the beginning. It was almost like my New Year's resolution on a work front. It was like,
Okay.
I really want to, and it's the fantastic help that also, and I do, with working with Major League Rugby and our partnership with OS Studios. Massive
Hmm.
shout out to them. They're massively creative. They've been helping me with some potential ideas. So
Great.
I'm loving like how my creativity can then try and match theirs, and we can maybe even work together. I then go out and do it all, and
Sure.
it's not as though but someone asked me the other day. It's like, oh, you saw one of my videos, like, oh, that's awesome. Like, we'd love if you could do something. Which is great. I've been asked to do various things now.
Yeah.
I should start making some extra cash.
So
Yeah,
same.
it should be.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but like ultimately, it was more about people ask like, "Who's your team?" I was like, "My team is me, myself, and I." Like, what do you mean in terms of like, who's
Ooh.
your editor? Who's your script writer and things like that? So I did appreciate that when someone thinks that
Ooh.
it's a bigger thing than it actually is.
I like
Anyway,
that. Who's
so
my team? It's me, myself, and I.
yeah, me, myself, and I, and ultimately, look, man. Look, the bottom line is I realize the importance of that if I am going to have more of an image, then I need to be a bit more forward facing and use my
Sure.
character on my own platform. And I never forget, I remember back in, was it 2018, 2019? I actually lost Instagram, but got hacked. Of all things, it got hacked,
Really?
and I was so tempted back then. Because I was a pro player at the time, like things were going all right, and I lost everything basically. So
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, "Oh, screw this," and I was, I didn't mind social media as such. I enjoyed it here and there,
Sure.
but it probably took me a while to be like, "No, I really need to use this as a tool of what I want to do: report, tell good stories." You look at the impact social media has had now on the media itself is massive.
Totally.
Alona Ma, and I know Alona through
Yeah.
rugby has transformed the rugby's look, particularly in the women's space.
Oh,
And there's
of
people like
course.
her who are the genuine influencers. We need that.
Right.
But then I was also like, well, if I'm
She's an influencer.
she's an influencer. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
like, what can I do to just tell some stories, maybe give some behind the scenes? And yeah, it's almost like just kicking off in the last couple of months, I'd say. And yeah, building up relatively nicely, doing things about In-N-Out Burger
Yeah.
and computer games and stuff like that, all involved in rugby.
Right. It's fun. It's a fun out for you. It
Yeah.
seems, you're combining a lot of your loves and your passions, and you're just having fun with it, which is what things should be. You should be having fun doing what you're doing,
Well,
you know?
I think it's character. Like
That too.
the big thing for me, and I think for anyone out there, particularly those pro athletes who are unsure, and maybe I was one of them as well. I did do media stuff when I was an athlete, but you're
Right.
always unsure, like, how am I going to come across? I don't want to be looking like someone who I care too much about, what I'm doing off the field, and then it reflects badly on then if I perform badly, then you're going to get
Mhm.
told, but the coach is like, hold on, why are you doing, this interview here and podcast there? You should be focusing on your game. Unfortunately, that traditional value, I think, still is within our sport.
You think
It's
so?
slow. I think it's probably in most sports, but it's only started to come out of people like their own IP, their own
Yeah.
character that sells, and people want to know that. And I think in our sport, we're starting to see it. We're starting to understand. And I know OS Studios are massive behind, we want to
Right.
see the characters of the players. And one of my jobs is going to be like trying to do that, get those characters out there. It's not about me. When
Absolutely.
I'm doing Sunday Night Rugby, I want to moderate these other great people who I might be involved with. If I'm speaking to one of the players, like, I want to know, luckily I do know them, but like
Yeah.
their character, not just a media trained answer. You know what I mean?
I do. I do. It makes, and I think that goes even to your benefit in a way, because the players know, hey, he was a former athlete. he was a former rugby player himself. I mean, you're probably even some of your former teammates are still playing
Yeah,
too.
mates. Yeah.
Right. So it's like you already have that connection with them. And in an athlete's mind, they're like, oh, he automatically knows his stuff. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
that's huge.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's a definite thing, which I look at myself and I look at myself in terms of what are my unique selling points. Was
Hmm.
an athlete, did it quite a high level, know the people, particularly in my sport.
Right.
Therefore, there's that instant trust. I think that's a nice thing. Like I know when players who do go into the media, that's their point. They have that access to the guys or the girls because they know them. They know what they're going through.
Sure.
They're going to ask those questions that they feel they can get those honest answers out from. And then, I know probably when not to push, but also I know when to be like, come on, I know you can give me more on something like that.
Mm,
And just that little bit of an edge. I came out of I came out of Major League Rugby as a player, probably be more the analyst and the color commentator, and I'm
right.
now sort of trying to bring myself to be like, that's great, and I still got that, but I really want to be a sports anchor. Like I really want to be a
Yeah.
sports anchor and use myself and the lessons I've learned from being a pro athlete to translate then into this new career of being the sports anchor. Like, how can I best do that? That might be a unique selling point compared to maybe other anchors out there. Maybe even my
Hmm.
accent might play a benefit in some aspects, certainly maybe in some
Sure.
sports. I don't know. I'm always got an imposter syndrome about that. I don't know. But
Imposter
yeah.
syndrome does not discriminate.
Well,
It
yeah,
does
that's
not
true.
discriminate.
That's very true. So, yeah, I don't know. It's certainly an area that I enjoy. I know
Yeah.
I've got to work hard with. I'm still raw, but yeah, having been the pro athlete before, I definitely think helps me in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious as well as how that mindset that you've had of being an athlete is going to help you be a new dad.
Haha,
You're gonna be a
very
dad,
good.
dude, congratulations.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's imminent now. I'm literally
Is
almost
it?
like I've got my bag by the door. Yeah, we are very, very close.
Oh, man.
And I don't know when this actually goes out officially on your channels, but it might even be that I would have had the baby by then. Are you a dad yourself?
I am not, no.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. It's
No. God
I
willing, I will be one day, though.
yeah, man. It's one of life's absolute blessings, isn't it? I've heard
Yeah.
so much from you know from friends who are dads,
Mhm.
from other people in sport. It's such a balance, isn't it? Whether you're a player, whether you're involved in broadcasting, it's kind of like I've got this trying to juggle the career and try and push
For
that forward.
sure.
New exciting things, traveling and being in the studio and really having the energy. And then I'm also got a newborn that's coming on the way. Our little girl's going to come into the world soon.
Amazing.
Which is exciting, and I'll definitely within the obviously keeping it relatively private and making sure my wife's all right with it. I think
Yeah.
it's important to show it's real life. Like at the end of the day, these players, there's
True.
so many dads also in our league in Major League Rugby. And our connection to the fans and real life things, like
Yeah.
it's true, right? You're trying to balance. We've all, whether it's stuff, challenges, everyone's got different challenges, and having kids is definitely probably one of them. It's also an absolute blessing.
Of course.
So yeah, I'm sure it will give me a very good perspective. My wife always tells me how I need to be more present because I'm sometimes so work driven. I'm always like
Yeah.
focused on whatever project it is or whatever. But I definitely think it might soften me up a little bit, bring me back down to earth, and
Sure.
especially being a girl dad. Yeah, no, it's good, man. Looking forward to it.
That's awesome, man. One more question for you. The last one I do always ask everybody is just your career aside, your playing career aside, your broadcasting career aside, just really you as a person. Will Hooley, what's something you like most to admire about yourself?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. And it's one that actually I think we should all ask ourselves that. I think
I
I'm my own
agree.
I'm my own harshest critic. Always was as
Same.
a player, and am like when I analyze myself and any content stuff, any broadcasting, every whatever. And certainly as a former athlete, you go for perfection. And it's something which is great. And I think businesses really like working with former athletes because they are so driven. And I would say, you know, maybe that's something that I do admire about myself is that I was never the best rugby player. You know, I'm not. I wasn't. But I like to think I worked damn hard and wanted to challenge the norm. I think that's the thing which I will sit here and may not be everyone's favorite thing. I like to think I'm a personal guy. I love getting to know people. I love being a people person. But like,
me too.
I want to work hard to also challenge the norm. Am I doing everything we can to make something the best it can be? Like, I don't want to settle for mediocrity. And I think a lot of people hopefully can also say that's one of the things they maybe admire about themselves. Almost feels a bit arrogant even saying that because it's not much of a superpower. But yeah, just I think people who know me know that I do want to work damn hard to get the best result of what you've got. At the end of the day, like, you can give me a project with zero budget and I'll see that as a challenge to make it premium, top level, rather than, hey, no budget, can't do anything about this. Here's a bit of paper with my, you know, hand drawing on.
Right.
That's all you're going to get.
Yeah.
That's not me. I like high standards and that's what I try and hold my hat on. And I keep myself accountable as well, because at the end of the day,
that's the most important part.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, the accountability is the most important part. May we all continue to hold each other accountable and work hard to achieve whatever it is that we're striving for. Will, Hooley, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it, Dylan. Love what you do. And yeah, appreciate it.
And here's to an awesome rugby season.
Yeah, let's go. Major League Rugby, March 28th. And Sunday Night Rugby, first one, 12th of April. Get involved.
I'm locked in.